This is the only way to get your college football week started off on the good foot. It is the Kickoff, presented by Ram Trucks. TNT holding you down on a Tuesday. That is Taylor Tannebaum. I'm merely Treavor Scales, and we are 3 weeks into the season. Behind us, at the very least, we know nothing.
No.
Everything is still sort of shaking out, and that's okay because we're just along for the ride. Got to be able to enjoy the ride as it occurs.
I kind of want to go back, though, because it feels like it's moving too quickly.
Yes.
Can we go back to week 0?
It feels as though we are rolling at a speed that I'm not going to be able to keep up with. Not only is my blood pressure at an insane place, but it's just moving too fast. I don't want it to leave us.
No.
In any case, to recap this past weekend, we're going to look at this bad boy through the prism of pain. We will begin with my favorite game of the weekend, clearly, as a Dogs fan. That took down there in Neyland Stadium. It was all the way cracking. Joy and pain are like sunshine and rain. R.I.P. to Frankie Beverly. And shouts to the Instant Classic down in Knoxville, Tennessee, that had me feeling all sorts of the former. But when it comes to pain, kicker Max Gilbert, after that kick at the end of regulation goes wide right. Taylor, was he feeling a worse pain than when one gets left on red in the group chat?
Okay, so hear me out here. First, I'm going to preface this by saying I have all the respect in the world for kickers, both at the college and professional
I feel like
level.
you about to.
But is getting left on red in the group chat better or worse? I'm going to say the kicking woe is worse. Because, look, we're at the age now where, like, if you get left on red in the group chat, we all agree, like, we just have busy lives. We'll get to it later. I'm not taking things personally like that anymore.
I feel you.
So I'm going to go with the kicking woes. But also, here's the thing. You cannot put this just on Max Gilbert.
Far from it.
He missed that kick, but he also made one in overtime. You could lean on the defense and say, hey, get one more stop. Or how about the offense? When that missed kick happened, you could have found pay dirt instead of leaving it up to your
the
kicker.
Penalties, the procedure that backs you up
like,
5 yards. There's a myriad of different things you can look to.
But it is worse for Max Gilbert because you had like 100,000 screaming Tennessee fans looking at you crazy. And then everyone at home on their couches throwing things at their TVs like, come on, Max, I can do it better than you. No, you can't.
False.
But that's why it is worse than the group chat.
100% agree on all of that assessment. 100,000%. I agree, too. Like, the idea that this all boiled down to just that one kick is false.
Yeah.
You had a chance in overtime to win it as well. Yes, it got extended for a reason that you don't hope to have that extended by. But look, man, you got to go out there, win it. And Kirby's team has shown the resiliency that I don't know that anybody can quite emulate as much as it is often tried to. Kirby's team shows this ability in one-score situations to not screw it up. Like that's just what it boils down to. And then you got Gunnar Stockton validated immediately, especially after that 4th and 6th throw that evened things up. I'll even give Joey Aguilar his flowers, not like I wasn't doing so leading into this one, but what he showed, again, from a timing standpoint, a command of that offense. I know he had 2 picks, but that is partly due to the lack of run game that they were able to establish with the Dogs playing defense the way that they were. So, yes, worse to miss that kick. But we all understand life is life, and when it comes to the group chat anyway, it's all good.
Sorry if I leave you on red. It's not personal.
Right.
It's me.
No,
it's not you.
never. I have so many unresponded to texts, but neither here nor there. On the opposite end of that college kicker spectrum, you got Georgia Tech's Aiden Burr. May have stunned Clemson, but I feel like for the sickos, you and me included, Taylor, knew this Texan team was perfectly capable of doing this, especially with the early struggles from the Tigers. But to go back to our original vessel of discussion, is this loss a bigger L than seeing your ex at your wedding?
I'm going to go with the loss being the bigger L. Here's why. Hear me out here. If my ex is at my wedding, I welcome you because you get to see what you missed out on. You get to see the L that you just took, live and in color. So come on, exes, all of them can come to my wedding because clearly I've leveled up. But in all seriousness, you don't agree with that?
I don't want to see it.
You don't want to see your ex at
I don't want to see her.
Okay. Y'all come out and enjoy the show. But really, the loss for Clemson isn't good.
No,
it's not good. And it's not necessarily because they are 1-2 to start the season for the first time since 2014. Right. It's more of the way the loss looked.
100%.
We expected this Clemson team to be explosive. They were not. We expected Cade Klubnik to potentially be in New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony and competing for a national championship. He turned the ball over twice at pivotal times. Did help lead them in the end to tie the game, and eventually they lost on that kick.
Yep.
But it's not looking great for the Tigers. They now do not control their destiny to an ACC championship. They're not out, but they're a little bit down.
No question.
But I do want to give flowers to Georgia Tech because they earned that win. Credit to them, but it is a tough loss.
Haynes King, certified dog. I just want to make sure we get that out there to be clear because his toughness There was one touchdown run that he had at the goal line in which he looked like an absolute battering ram. And every game it feels like he is limping off of the field because there's nothing left from a physical standpoint. And like it's just
there it is.
That's the one.
That's the one.
Because that's a quarterback, dog. And when you are able to lean on a cat with that sort of mentality every time he sets foot on the field, it does a lot for you. Like Brent Keith clearly loves that man and that team so much because of what they have from an intangible standpoint that I really don't think can be overstated because of what they're able to get done in clutch moments. This is not the first time you've seen this team go to war. They went to war with Georgia last season against a team that was assumed to be much better from them from a talent standpoint. They just continue to perform at the highest level. Another painful moment, Arch in Texas. Yes, they did win. I want to be clear, but even with the win, he got booed at home. One point, had an interception, 10 straight incompletions during the second quarter. Fans let him hear it. Taylor, getting booed by your home team. Is that worse than accidentally liking a crush's IG post from a couple years ago?
No. It is
Really?
so much worse liking an Instagram post from your crush from years ago. That means you were scrolling back. You know what's actually worse than that?
What?
Is liking a post, say you have a crush and they have a girlfriend or an ex-girlfriend and you're stalking them and you go back and like that, immediately witness protection.
Yeah.
I'm moving out of the country. Never to be seen again.
Throwing the phone
there are
into
worse
the
things.
nearest body of water.
No, I would say the liking is worse than this. You know what, Texas fans? I'm booing you. Boo! That is so lame. You were begging for Arch to see the field, and now you want to boo?
Yeah.
3 games into the season, look, are there questions? Yes.
Of course.
But give the kid a chance.
No, I wholeheartedly agree there because, look, we did this. We the ones, not we, the royal, we hyped this man up to a place that it was impossible for him to meet the expectations that were set forth for him. And so any sort of failing was going to look miserable. But this is a particular brand of miserable that feels mental for him that I want him to bust out of this slump so badly. To go back to the original question, though, I mean, you might be blocking a blessing if you don't want to just scroll back and just throw a like out there. Just, hey.
I hate when people do that.
I mean, I ain't talking about on the receiving end. I'm talking about if you want to issue it, just throw a like out to somebody that you would not mind receiving that same reciprocation. Just food for thought.
I appreciate the positive spin on that.
I do. Trying to provide a little avenue of love to get through. That's all we're trying to look for.
The pain. Let's take a look at the unstoppable performance by the LSU Tigers. Last week, LSU beat Florida 20-10. They've now held each of their first 3 opponents to 10 or fewer points for the first time since 2007. Trev, that was the year they won the national championship.
How about that?
Maybe it's a good omen. They racked up 5 interceptions, 1 they returned for a touchdown. Then post-game, though, head coach Brian Kelly was asked off the top in his press conference about the Tiger offense or lack thereof. And let's say he didn't hold back. Take a listen.
Seeing with your offense.
Stop. Really? Is that the first question? We won the game 20-10. Try another question. What do you want me to tell you? I just laid it out for you. We played the game to win the game. We played the game to win the game.
All right. How about third down then? What is going on with third down?
It's one game. Last game, we were great on third down. You're looking at this from the wrong perspective. LSU won the football game. Won the game. I don't know what you want from me. What do you want? You want us to win 70-0 against Florida to keep you happy?
No, I think people want to know why you can't run the ball, quite honestly.
We can run the ball. Did you see the last play of the game? That's all you need. You just need one. There's a ridiculous questions. And I'm getting tired of it. That football team just worked their tail off to get an SEC win, and you want to know what's wrong. You know what? You're spoiled. You're spoiled. This team is 17-1 at night. 17-1. Give them some respect. How about that? Give them some respect instead of micro-analyzing every little thing. This is ridiculous. For a group of seasoned reporters, that kind of question is so out of line.
Lot to dissect here. I do want to note, Brian Kelly did come out on Monday and apologize for his tirade to start off and to the reporter who just simply asked an opening question. I want to know your reaction.
Yeah, see, it always boils down to likability, right? Like, if we rock with Brian Kelly, we will be able to chuckle and move on,
Right.
but there's a likability issue that's going down with this one that makes it that much worse. So when it boils down to the emotions and the rawness of coming off of the field after a victory like that, well, I understand where he's coming from, but buddy, you are paid and you pay players to have that stuff locked in and be able to manage it when you step on the biggest of stages, like a post-game press conference.
Fair.
So I understand what he's trying to do there, especially in the backtracking and apologizing both publicly and privately, but hey, man, you're supposed to be able to feel this type of stuff. Like, this is part of the game for you.
It's not our job, Trev, as the media, to make you comfortable in the order we ask our questions. It is quite literally to serve the public and ask them what everybody's wondering. Hey, the defense played great, but the offense was a little sluggish. So what was going on there? That's all. And he keeps saying, what do you want from me? We just want an answer.
That's it.
That's all we really wanted from that question. And ultimately, he did later on talk about the fact that the offense is struggling a little bit, and there's some things
Fully
to clean up. But we could have just answered that off the top of the press conference, Trev. It got a little crazy. Do you feel like there is, on that note, anything wrong with this LSU offense at this point?
Yeah, you needed 5 picks to get the win, not to mention the fact that 7 of the 20 total points you scored were off of a pick 6. So the offense has an issue. Sure, there's likely just going to be some chemistry still building. We are a quarter of a way through the season with Garrett Nussmeier and these wideouts. That takes time. But that doesn't mean that we can't acknowledge that there is a struggle occurring in the interim. You know what I mean? Like that's just what it boils down to. They can get right. I assume they will get right, but they ain't right now.
All right, so I do want to add a couple of nuggets to that real quick. I know they've played a couple of tough opponents early on in the season in Clemson and Florida. They are dead last in the SEC in average points per game, 20 points per game. They're converting just shy of 42% of their red zone attempts. I know he mentioned red zone in that conversation. So those are just some nuggets, some food for thought. Regardless of how you feel about the offense, the LSU defense looked pretty darn good, and that was the thing holding them back over the last couple of years. So with that being said, the defense up to speed. What is the ceiling for this LSU squad?
I'll say SEC champion, national title contender, right? I don't think that that's exclusive to just them, though, because of how spread out the parity is in the SEC right now. There are a bunch of teams that can have that exact same assessment applied to them.
Right.
But to LSU's credit, to be in that conversation means that there was an improvement, especially on that defensive end. Blake Barker, second year as a D coordinator, clearly has those boys playing fast and furious, and that's going to help them immensely as far as, a longevity conversation into December and January, potentially.
Yep, I would agree with you. I think the SEC is wide open. I think to win in the SEC, you need a really good defense.
Right.
But I also think they've got to find some balance offensively. If we're going back to the offense, that run game has really been non-existent early parts of the season, near the bottom of the SEC. And look, I know they ran for 102 yards against Florida, but 51 of those yards on that final play on one carry. So I need to see a little bit more balance offensively in order for it to be a good
takes the
thing
pressure off of Garrett, right? It allows that chemistry to
Yes.
build between receivers if you have a run game that at least threatens defenses to come down into that box, load it a little bit more so that you're getting one-on-one on the edges as much as possible.
Yeah, and help your defense out a little bit.
Just a little
Stay on
bit.
the field a little bit
Complimentary
longer.
football.
Offense,
See old adage?
Complimentary football. How about that? Okay, let's look at college football and some of the crazy things we saw over the course of the weekend. We're going to stick with the LSU Tigers because this is starting to become somewhat of a trend. Keep an eye on Brian Kelly in this video because he just gets absolutely blasted on the sideline. It happened in the Clemson game and again against Florida.
Nah, somebody talking bad about Brian Kelly, and this is missions now. This is clearly a thing that is happening intentionally damn near.
I think Vegas needs to put out a line at this point because it's happening so frequently. How about Georgia Tech's offensive lineman Keelan Rutledge? Blood gushing out of the nose, and he said, "Get me back in there, coach. Get me back in there."
He doing too much for me. Good for you. It's Brent Key, baby. That's just what he's instilling apparently down there. He a real one.
How about a soggy, wet napkin full of blood on the football field? Very disgusting. All right, this is very on par with Lane Kiffin. The basketball that they play with on the sideline somehow made it onto the field, and the ref, that's 3, 2, or 3.
Thank you for salt. Yes, it was. I want to give you your credit for that one. I wanted to know where that daggone basketball came from. Thank you for that explanation. That was huge.
Because they have the basketball hoop on the sideline, but that's all Lane Kiffin for you. And then there was a little bit of smoke in Winston-Salem this weekend on Thursday night's Wake Forest game. The food truck caught on fire.
Brutal. And the homie Harry Lyles Jr. out there reporting on it, just inhaling all kinds of smoke. I feel for my boy. It's just, at least it's not that kind of dumpster fire in Wake Forest. Feels like things are actually looking up for them.
Yeah, the Jake Dickert era off to a good start. And I thought about it. Was that maybe a tactic to try to make things harder on NC State? Maybe.
I like it.
Fire, smoke, tough to play.
I like
don't
it.
know, just food for thought right there. Food truck. See what I did there?
Look, we got some games coming up this weekend for Week 4 as we progress through the college football season that you will absolutely enjoy. There is one in the SEC that is clearly going to be the site of much assessment between Auburn and Oklahoma. Top 25 matchup between the Tigers and Sooners. Jackson Arnold looking for a revenge game against Oklahoma. Sooners got John Mateer continuing to make a little Heisman noise. What you got on this matchup as far as who will be under more pressure, more scrutiny by games in?
At the quarterback position, I'm going to say it's John Mateer.
Okay.
Really, Jackson Arnold has some pressure too, but for a different reason. He's coming back to a place he came from. And look, Auburn,
more internal.
Right now, they made it, more internal and making sure you're keeping in the moment. You're not making it too big because it is a return home to Norman. And look, Auburn's ranked now, and if they pull off a win like this, sky's the limit for the Tigers. But for John Mateer, there is SEC championship potential for this Oklahoma team. There is Heisman potential for him personally. He's come and started to prove himself early in this season at Oklahoma. And I don't know, I think we all expected him to be good, but I don't think we expected this good. This early on.
That H word, I mentioned the Heisman associated with Mateer, and that being thrown out there legitimately for him because of how he's performed on the biggest stages only continues to build momentum in a matchup like this one against Auburn. Like what Hugh Freeze will look to do offensively and disrupt Brent Venables' defense, I should say, is going to be something to watch, right? But Venables is known to give first-time quarterbacks that see his defense a whole lot of issues. So Jackson Arnold, welcome to the party, baby, because I know you were creative in the scramble drill early on in this season, but that may not be available to you in the same way with the athletes flying around for the Sooners.
He does have 4 rushing touchdowns, but again, defense helps win championships, and I love the way Oklahoma's defense is playing for sure.
No question. Let's talk a little bit about this Florida and Miami tilt because DJ Lagway is coming off of that 5-pick performance that obviously is less than encouraging for both he, Billy Napier, and everybody that roots for the Gators. But I digress. What do you think the story will be by the time the dust settles on this tilt?
It's easy to go quarterback in this matchup, right? You have Carson Beck, who is on a Heisman trajectory at this point for Miami. You have DJ Lagway with all the turnovers he's had, and he was a favorite to potentially win the Heisman to start the season. Not so much the case anymore. But I'm going to go in the trenches in a ball game like this because as much as Florida has struggled, they've really beaten themselves in that USF loss. And then later in that LSU loss with 5 interceptions. They still have dudes on this team, and they have a lot of Florida dudes too. A lot of guys on this field this upcoming weekend between the Gators and the Canes know each other very well.
They get up for this.
So they're coming to try to bounce back. So I think in the trenches, Miami has to continue to assert its dominance. They have been outstanding on the offensive line. That defense, led by Akeem Messidor and Ruben Bain, going to be headhunting again because they've seen DJ Lagway and that
100%.
Florida offensive line that has not lived up to a standard. So I think, quarterbacks because it's pretty, but I'm going deep in the trenches.
No, I love that, and that's exactly why I just think that the story will be that Miami's getting ready to roll these dudes. I understand the soft sort of, when I say soft, like, what is the word I'm looking for? Tangential, like intangible is the word I'm looking for. Sort of elements of this matchup and how cats will get up for a game like this one, specifically in the state of Florida. But I just think that Miami is playing at a level right now that is really astonishing and really tough to see Florida overcoming, specifically DJ Lagway, because of the ghosts he likely saw against LSU are only going to get ramped up when it comes to this Miami defensive line. Like it's, spooky season around there for him. And I just think that Miami's playing at a clip right now that is really hard to stop.
Also, this guy using those Ivy League words on me, like, okay,
don't do that. Don't do that.
Tuesday.
Don't do
it's
that.
too
That's
early in the week.
That's so unnecessary. One game likely not going to be on anybody's radar, but is for us, is specifically that Colorado tilt. They're hosting Miami. It's been a bit of a shuffle when it comes to the quarterback position. They have used at one point 3 quarterbacks in one game. Most recently, that struggle against Houston exhibited that there may still be a decision to be made. So, Taylor, what are we to make of the quarterback adjustments that Deion is constantly making right about now?
It's not good. It's not good over there in Boulder. And here's why. You're 3 weeks into the season, going into week 4 of the season, and you still have no answers at the most important position on the field. And it went for Coach Deion Sanders from, I know exactly which direction we're going at the quarterback position. Didn't want to reveal anything, and then Staub ended up starting. And then it goes to, I have no idea what's really happening at the quarterback position. And in my opinion, you're looking to your head coach for stability, and then you're looking to your quarterback for stability. And they don't seem to have either right now in terms of answers, the entire team. That is, so I don't feel like that bodes well moving forward.
I just don't know how you're supposed to instill confidence in a quarterback or a team thereby if you're not just going to ride with somebody. There are going to be bumps in the road. I understand that Coach Prime is in uncharted territory, having not had to choose a quarterback outside of his son, more than 1 year out of his entire head coaching career. However, you're going to have to ride with somebody, even if they're not Shedeur, because in order to have any sort of identity, it feels like you have to be able to allow someone to make mistakes because they are inevitable. And you have bigger fish to fry. Your offensive line has been under duress.
True.
38% of the dropbacks, there was a pressure provided on their quarterback. And until you fix that, I don't know how you properly assess what a quarterback is doing there on a play-to-play basis because of how little is actually set up for them to succeed.
And I think this is so interesting right now because we're really learning about the coach, Deion Sanders. There's been so much pomp and circumstance, and he's had his son, who was a great quarterback in Shedeur Sanders, and you had Travis Hunter, who's one of the greatest players we've seen that goes both ways.
Right.
But now you don't have them on your team. What do you do as a coach? You've recruited players. Now what happens between the lines on Saturdays? Or potentially Friday nights whenever they play. And I think now it's incumbent on the coach in Deion Sanders to prove a little something at Colorado.
No question. You better find you some new Louis V luggage or something, baby, because it is not stopping as far as this competition level going forward in the Big 12. All right, some other notable tilts that you got to make sure you look out for this weekend. Syracuse hosting Clemson. Tigers in must-win territory right now, already this early in the schedule.
Funny enough, Syracuse knocked off Miami at the end of last year to send Clemson to the ACC title game, ultimately the playoff.
That's right.
Now the Orange have a chance to really put a nail in the coffin for the Clemson Tigers. Clemson, though, has won 6 straight.
Oregon hosting Oregon State. A little Civil War action. Remember the Pac-12? RIP the Pac-12, quite frankly.
129th meeting between these two, one of the most played rivalries in all of college football. And there's no contract currently set for their future, which means this one's even bigger. Look, Oregon's 3-0. You see the record for Oregon State. That would be a heck of an upset for the Beavers.
Don't even put that into the atmosphere. Why would you say Kent State, Florida State, the Noles back in action after a bye week, probably looking to, again, roll.
And I'm not going to go upset here. Is that okay with you?
You see, of course you're not, because that's the team. Of course you're not going to even put that into the air.
I am, though, watching to see how they respond coming off a bye week with an inferior MAC opponent in Kent State. Can you continue to roll? Because on the other side, coming up soon, is the Miami Hurricanes.
No, yeah, that's a textbook look-ahead game if I've ever seen one. North Carolina, UCF. North Carolina just on the road against a team that doesn't look very good. But again, you have to make teams not look good if you're Bill Belichick trying to make a impact.
Last time Carolina played a Big 12 opponent, week 1 didn't go so great for him, Trev. Hopefully this one bodes better for the Heels. It's another Tuesday, which means another visit with our friend Heather Dinich. Let's check out her latest college football playoff projections after week 3. Ohio State still sitting pretty at number 1. SEC reigning supreme, 3 of the top 5 spots. How about Illinois? Just outside the top 10. They're peeking in there. Big matchup this week against Indiana, and notably absent from the list. You see, Clemson dropped out last week for her, and Notre Dame no longer in her top 12. Heather joining us now. Okay, Heather, we have plenty of questions after seeing your list, and I like some of what you did there, but we're talking Notre Dame. 0-2 now to start the season. Losses to Miami and Texas A&M. Certainly really good teams, but we know they do not have a conference affiliation. So are the Fighting Irish dead in the water at this point? If not, what's their way back into the conversation?
Their way back in the conversation is to run the table, look good in the process, hope that some of those teams that they beat are ranked by the selection committee, and then they have to sit there on selection day and hope some other contenders lose. The reality is, because they're an independent and they can't clinch a spot in the playoff by winning a conference title and finishing as one of the 5 highest ranked conference champions, their resume, those 12 games, have to be good enough to impress the committee. And their best 2 chances against top 25 opponents are already behind them. So all of the stars have to align for the Irish. It's not impossible, but they have got to win every game.
Trev, I know a conference, Heather, I know a conference that I think would love to have them. Cough, ACC. Anyways, I just had to add that. Trev, the stage is yours. Sorry,
just real quick. Those 2 losses at the start of the season, being by a total of 4 points, may help their case by season's end, but it is about winning at the end of the day. On the other end of that matchup was Texas A&M, who made quite the jump in the AP poll. They are number 5 in your college football playoff projections. What are we to make of the Aggies going forward as far as where they stand relative to everyone else in this conversation?
Well, they're in the playoff conversation right now, and that non-conference win is going to continue to separate them from some other playoff contenders down the stretch that didn't play as tough of a non-conference schedule. The head-to-head result also matters. The selection committee compares common opponents. So if Miami and Texas A&M are being compared in the committee meeting room side by side, Miami will have the win against Notre Dame at home. Texas A&M went on the road and was able to do it. Look at that game at LSU on October 25th for the Aggies, though. That's one of the toughest remaining games. They also play rival Texas, obviously, in the regular season finale. So we've got to learn more about them, and we will. But this was the first playoff statement for that program under Mike Elko.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of a turning point for the Aggies. They've been reaching for this and finally picked up that signature win. Okay, let's talk Clemson Tigers. I know they're not in your top 12. You dropped them out last week, but they're now 1-2 to start the season. What is their potential playoff path if they are to still have one, Heather?
Well, remember last year that three-loss Clemson was in the college football playoff because it won the ACC. That's the beauty of this system, if you choose to look at it that way, is any team with a shot at winning its conference has a shot at competing for all the marbles. So if Clemson can get itself together and get into the ACC championship game, then it's not out of the realm of possibility. However, to me, this was more of a statement about Georgia Tech and Haynes King because they are a potential playoff team. This was one of their toughest games. And remember, they took Georgia to 8 overtimes last year. So let's not sleep on how good of a team Georgia Tech is as we talk about what Clemson hasn't done.
What Brent Key is building out there in Georgia Tech is something special. I think it's undeniable at this point. And if you ain't hip, I hope you are hip at this point. Heather, when it comes to the Big Ten, shifting quite a bit here, Illinois and what they are doing at 3-0. Matchup against Indiana this upcoming weekend, and what they do going forward will continue to further them as far as that Big Ten and playoff discussion. What's your assessment of them as of late?
Well, right now I have them at number 11. But guys, remember this about the ranking system in a 12-team playoff. If you're number 11 and or number 12, you can be out of it, right? So they need to assure themselves of a spot in this thing by moving up to a safe spot. And beating Indiana is one way to do that. Because think about this, guys. If you're talking about the Big Ten in the playoff, you're most likely talking about Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, and Illinois or Indiana. I would be very surprised if both of them made it into the playoff and the Big Ten got 5 teams. And we didn't even mention USC yet, which is quietly winning games and getting a lot better out there while everyone else is talking about all these other teams. So this Indiana-Illinois is a sneaky important playoff game because the winner is going to be the leader for that at-large bid if they don't win the Big Ten title.
God, if you're anything like me, I still kind of forget USC's in the Big
Oh,
Ten.
yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
You got to wipe your eyes sometimes and be like, oh, yeah, Taylor, don't forget. Heather, thank you so much. Appreciate your time, and we'll see what Week 4 has to hold. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, the brave Heather Dinich, who I'm sure gets absolutely no hate back for all of her opinions every week of the college football playoff. A little different than the AP poll, though.
Just a smidge.
How do we feel about the AP poll?
I have thoughts. We are running out of time, so I will not offer them.
We're officially out of time. That's Treavor. I'm Taylor. Thank you so much for watching the Kickoff presented by Ram Trucks. We will see you next Tuesday, same time, same place, after Week 4.